Bear on, Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer, Jason McKie in the building. We got to break down this tape and see what we can fix heading into next week. I mean, we got a big game here. Yes, the Rams are depleted and beaten up, but they still find ways to win. Can the Chicago Bears do the same? We'll be breaking that down on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. J-Mac, it's been a very tumultuous week as far as being a Bears fan. How you feeling, my guy?
Yeah, I feel good, man. I mean, it's been, I'm sure it's been a tough week for them guys over there at Hallis Hall. They get back to work today. I know they're probably excited to get back to work after, dropping another game that had a lot of mixed reviews, especially on offense. And, I've been a part of offenses, in the Chicago Bears uniform that have struggled. But, you just got to get back to work, get back to the grind, and, focus on your upcoming opponents. So you're back at home against a, pretty good Los Angeles Rams team that is coached really well.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a challenge, it's a challenge to get a win, but, it's even more of a challenge when, you're struggling on certain sides of the ball and, you're reeling to get a win. You're looking at yourself, what can I do better? The coaches are there putting in extra work, trying to figure out how to fix things. So it's tough, mentally. I'm interested to see where this team is mentally, especially on the offensive side. Well, actually, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but overall, all three phases, offense, defense, and special team, because there's times when, a team could be playing well in one phase, example, the defense, and they can be looking at the offense like, come on, guys, like, geez, can we, score more than, 7 points? What I'm saying? Can we, put together some drives that don't result in field goals and touchdowns and stuff like that? And then you got a phase like the offense, guys, it's just you're putting in the work, you're overcoaching the details and fundamentals. You're analyzing your scheme as coaches, and it's still not working. So it's tough, man. That's the NFL, though. And a true testament to a really good team is that's how you battle adversity. So we'll see how they play on Sunday.
And when you look at, listen, we've all broken down this offensive line 7 ways to Sunday. It's not good. When you look at the tape, when you look at the all-22, it's even harder to watch because you're just sitting there going, I love a little behind the scenes. We watched, Yurko was breaking down film, and he literally just looked at that speed option play, and he's like, bad play, but at the same time, all 5 of your offensive linemen end up on, well, 4 of your 5 end up on their back. Matt Pryor doesn't hit anybody, so there's a problem there. And then he's like, Jesus Christ, couldn't have got back to the line of scrimmage on that play. Like that's how bad this offensive line is. You know what I mean? Like, but I gotta ask you, because I'm trying to turn the page and look toward the Rams and maybe look at things in a positive light. This is the first week, and let's just call a spade a spade. This is the first week where it seems like you got 5 guys on the offensive line who actually care about fixing their issues. We know about the struggles that Nate Davis is going through. The Bears know about the struggles Nate Davis is going through, which is why he's no longer in the starting lineup. Will time together improve this unit heading into next week? Because yeah, it was bad, but let's be real. Matt Pryor just kind of got thrown out there, and now you've got a full week of practice, full week of him being the guy, a full week of him, of this Bears offensive line finally having a cohesive unit. We haven't seen that since the end of last season.
Yeah, I hope so. Obviously, the more time you have, playing the game together as a unit, the cohesiveness will be better. The continuity will be better in terms of understanding the man next to you. Like Coleman Shelton used to have a Nate Davis there, and Darnell Wright used to have a Nate Davis there. You insert Matt Pryor and it's different. Even for Matt Pryor, just getting back into live action, you know what I'm saying? And just understanding the calls and then, the calls that pertains to whatever particular run, whether it's zone or gap, it's totally different calls. Based upon the defensive front structure, you're going to different guys as well. And then trying to do all that, process that, who you have, and then, obviously put your fundamentals in place, your technique, and execute at a high level. So it's tough, man. There's a lot of things, and then, like you said, some of the calls and stuff like that, you question, you know what I mean? So it's a lot. But at the end of the day, we can talk about, the calls, we can talk about the technique, we can talk about the scheme. At the end of the day, it's about, it still go back to winning your one-on-one matchup. You know what I mean? There's a double team in the run game, in particular on a gap run, a gap scheme run was just, winning your double team, against one person. Like it just comes back to that. And you go back to that 4th and goal when they ran the speed option, I was there in person. I had to witness that and that whole goal line series in person. I was confused too. I even talked about it on radio. I was like, man, like I don't, I had words for the call. But at the end of the day, it goes back to whatever's called as a player, you got to execute. You got to execute to the best of your ability, right? So they may have had a better look against us defensively, and that wasn't the look for that particular play. But at the same time, you can't go out there and get your ass whipped. You got to go out there and try to execute the play to your best ability. Sometimes as players, we have to make a bad call into a good call. And, and that's just the way it is. Sometimes it's players over scheme. So if there's a bad call, a bad run, a bad pass, you know what I mean? Like as a player, as the top players in the game and in the world, like we have to have the ability to transcend a bad play call and make it a good play. You know what I mean? So there's and right now it's like, you have a questionable play call and then we still got our ass whipped and then everything implodes. So, them guys know they got to get better. The coaches know they got to get better. And I still think we're close because there's a lot of good things that you see, but there's a whole lot of bad things that you see as well.
Yeah. And I think here's my question now, right? Like with the bad things on that that red zone section, it felt like there was so many miscommunications on those plays. It felt like there were so many. I mean, like, is that the first thing that this team needs to get cleaned up? We're 3 weeks into the season. We're seeing wide receivers and the quarterback not be on the same page. I understand new quarterback, new receivers in the building. Everybody's trying to figure it out, but like we're 3 weeks in. We've seen 3 comeback routes that the receiver thinks he's running a fade and the quarterback thinks he's running a comeback. Right? Yeah. We're 3 weeks into the season, and we don't know that we're getting the 2-point conversion on an obvious 2-point play. Go for it. We don't know that we need to have the right unit out there, so we got to burn a timeout. We don't know that or Caleb's getting the call in with 10 seconds to go. He's getting set up trying to get everything right, and now all of a sudden he doesn't have time, or at least in his mind he don't have time to change the play in that moment. So he just runs it. Hey, that one of those. I forget who said that. I think it was one of the Broncos quarterbacks. He turned around to his running back, said, "I ain't got time to change this play. Sorry, dog," and like just handed it off to him and let him get lit. like. Do you have to correct the communication issues before we focus on anything else on this team?
Yes, like the operation, right? You hear coaches talk about the operation and all that stuff. The operation has to be clean. It's got to be well detailed. So, every play, it starts with the personnel. If you don't have the right personnel grouping that you want to execute the play that you call, the play's not going to work, right? So, you talk about getting the right personnel grouping in there, whatever personnel is it, 2 backs, 1 tight end, whatever, whatever personnel you're putting in, you got to make sure it's the right personnel grouping that you want to run that particular play, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen it down on the goal line. You look at they're running inside zone. You got DeAndre Carter trying to seal off the backside end. Like that can't be the right personnel. You've got your smallest receiver, trying to come back and block it in, and he just gets destroyed. And I mean, he showed effort, but he's just outmatched right there. So, I'm saying, and then you talk about personnel, right? That's the start of the play. Then it's getting the correct play call in, right? Executing the play, making sure we're on the same page. Receivers, what's the route concept? Okay, now we got the route concept. Okay, now how do we run this route based upon certain coverages? Is it man? Is it zone? You know what I'm saying? Does a route convert? Does a route change against man? Does it convert? Does it change against zone? Stuff like that. So there's so many details and variables that go into each play. And that's why offenses to start the season are always a little bit behind of defenses, because offenses have new quarterback, new offensive linemen, new receivers, trying to get on the same page. And you may say, okay, we've been they've had training camp for X amount of weeks, but at the same time, it's not in a live environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take some time, but those are the things that get you beat though, because everybody has those same, obstacles to overcome. And if you're not on the same page, you continue having self-inflicted mistakes, right? You're not, and there's no team good enough to overcome as many self-inflicted mistakes as we've had, start the season offensively. So it's those things that determine whether a team's going to be good or, whether a team's going to be average. And right now, we've got to clean that stuff up before anything.
When you look at the play calling right now, what is your feel of how the offense has been called? I mean, Caleb Williams has dropped back 118 times this season. I know the interceptions are there, but for the most part, and I guess you can't say completely efficient with interceptions, but like he's been able to find his guys through the offensive line struggles. He's been able to get the football out. Last week in week 3 with a protected pocket, he's getting the football out in 2.3 seconds. So quick pass, quick trigger for Caleb Williams. When you see that though, do you feel like Shane Waldron is calling an offense that is dictated based on what the defense is giving him, or do you feel like there's some issues in this? Because Lance talked about, he said, listen, they're putting 8 in the box. You running into 8 in the box is going to not allow you to run the football. Like, I don't care how bad the football team is. There's a lot of pressure up front.
And that's where I disagree with Briggy, with Lance,
okay,
aka Briggy. So, my time here, we faced 8 in the box my entire career. Why? Because
this is true.
We're a really good running team. I
Yeah.
mean, faced 10 in the box. And you even have the defensive coordinator lining up at linebacker. What the hell is he doing in here? He's supposed to be on the sideline. You know what I mean? So no, they're gonna give you a heavy box, 8 in the box. They're gonna do some things in the run game. They're gonna stunt and twist to confuse the offensive linemen to make sure that you don't get your run game going.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you're gonna see different. You're gonna see light boxes. You're gonna see heavy boxes. But that doesn't just deter you from running the football. When I look at this offense and I look at Shane Waldron, I see an offense that's still struggling to find out what their identity is, right? You come out the game, you start the game, you start running the ball in the interior, you start having success, and all of a sudden you go away from it. Now we're dropping back, right? Now all of a sudden we're dropping back, we're throwing the ball in situations where you think we would run. You know what I mean? I just see an offense that's an offensive coordinator just trying to find ways to make things happen. I see an offensive coordinator that's trying to find out what this team's identity is. And I think they're struggling. And I think he's also, in the situations you abandon the run or you get away from things too soon, right? And you had success early on in this game running in between the tackles. Then all of a sudden you go away from it, right? And you got a hot hand like Roschon who comes out, has success running the ball in between the tackles. Then you take him out. And then you put in, DeAndre Swift, and you try to start running outside zone, and then you're not getting any yards and stuff like that. So that's what I see. I see a coordinator that's trying to get things going, but I think he's still struggling to find out, what is the right mix, what is the right identity. And you would think a team that had given up the most rushing yards over the first 2 weeks of the season in Indianapolis Colts, you would think you wouldn't have a quarterback drop back and have 52 pass attempts. But I mean, you knew they were going to fix things. The Colts knew where they ranked in terms of rushing. They had to fix things, and they were like, hey, we ain't going to let the Bears come in here and run on us. But our mindset should have been like, hey, we're running the ball regardless of whatever they fix. We're going to commit to it, and that's going to open things up. And I really think that was, the game plan. Even when I talked to Caleb after the game, I said, hey, what was the game plan coming into this game? I know the game plan wasn't for you to drop back 52 times. He was like, no, it was for them to establish the run.
Yeah.
And when they started taking away the run, they had to go to the pass.
What is establishing the run to you look like numbers wise? How many rushes do you need to see? And I know, right, when we talked to Briggs about it, he was more so talking about taking what the defense gives you, and they were giving you the pass. But I agree with you. You do have to establish some semblance of a run. I think you did that better with Roschon. How many carries per game do you need to see out of a single back to say you're establishing the run?
There's not a particular, account in terms of how many carries a back can get. I look in more so of trying to establish a run in terms of, the attempts and what you're trying to do as a whole in terms of your game plan. So, we're a team that loves to boot, play action and stuff like that. Well, it starts with a successful run game. You ain't going to come out and just, have a successful boot game if you're not having a successful run game. You know what I mean? It's not about, Roschon or DeAndre getting 10 plus carries each. It's about committing to the run to help open up things. It's about committing to the run to make your rookie quarterback's jobs easy. It's also about committing to the run to change things up, right? If you got a team that has a good pass rush, now I'm going to run right at those pass rushes to wear them down. But I'm also going to give my offensive line an opportunity to come off the ball and not just sit back and pass protect and protection the entire game. So that's where I look at establishing the run. And hey, if it doesn't go well for you, don't just abandon it and say, okay, now we got to hurry up and drop back and throw the ball 52 times, because it ain't like this game wasn't within reach. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
It was in reach the entire time. So that's what I mean. Don't abandon it. And we saw it. We saw it last week too, where they abandoned the run. You know what I mean? So you just got to find ways. You got to find the right mix. You got to find, are we a zone team? Are we a gap running scheme? Where do we excel at? Who do we run behind? Who's our bread and butter? Our deficiencies. If I feel like Matt Pryor is, if I feel like Coleman Shelton's the weakest link on his offensive line, how do I still become productive in the run game? But now how do I not hide him, but how do I make his block a little easier so that we still have success in the run game? So it's just about finding the right fit, the right structure, and calling the right runs, and determining, what type of scheme you're going to run to help that run game, come into play.
Yeah, even to me, even the utilization of the running backs that you have. I mean, listen, the DeAndre Swift, nobody expected him to run between the tackles as much as we've seen him run between the tackles, because that's not the kind of running back he is. He fits this outside zone run scheme that you were supposed to have. But we haven't seen that a lot from DeAndre Swift, and we haven't seen him really get involved in the passing game until this week 3. And then you put Roschon in, and all of a sudden I see Roschon running outside for outside zone. I'm like, what the wait a minute. Like the utilization of the personnel to me has been one of the biggest question marks on Shane Waldron early on.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, so when you watch the All-22, right, and I watched it, watching it last week and then going back and watching it this week, right? So, everybody wants to yell at Coleman Shelton, and they were yelling at Nate Davis, and obviously Matt Pryor is new in at guard and stuff like that. It's everybody as a whole, right? Everybody as a whole. And I'll talk about outside zone, for instance, right? We talk about DeAndre Swift. He's more of a zone running back, right? So when we're running outside zone, penetration kills the zone. So if you get penetration by that defensive line, it kills the zone, right? You can't stretch. They're getting vertical displacement by the defensive line. It just kills the zone. And a lot of times, what do we see? We see Coleman Shelton getting pushed back. You see Matt Pryor getting pushed back. You see a tight end, sometimes getting pushed back, right? So that's on them. But also there's certain times where you see where they do have, where they are getting vertical displacement as an offensive line, or lateral displacement as an offensive line. And you see the running back, where an outside zone, he should be pressing his aiming point, which is usually the outside leg of the tight end, right? He's got to press that ball into the heels of the offensive lineman and then make his cut based upon that. Well, we'll see a running back that'll cut back too soon. Now you don't have flow by them linebackers and you cut back into your offensive line or into the defenders, in which you should be stretching that play more, right? Or you may have a look to where you can get outside, but you're cutting it back too early, so the linebackers aren't moving, and now you're pretty much tackling yourself. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I see. I can't place the entire blame on the line, because it goes back and forth. Sometimes the running back, he doesn't get a chance to establish, that outside zone, being able to press his aiming point. And then there's times where, the offensive linemen are getting pushed back, and that penetration is killing that outside zone.
Have you noticed when rewatching the tape, because there are times where, listen, the offensive line, it is what it is, but there are times to me where, like you just brought out, the backs just aren't taking the right angle or making the right cut. And there's one play in particular that stands out in my mind. DeAndre Swift's running to the outside. DJ Moore seals perfectly. DJ Moore setting the block he got it sealed. If you take it outside of DJ, you should be home free with DeAndre Swift's speed.
Yeah.
But he runs right into the back of DJ Moore, because it looks like he's trying to cut up through the gap between them before he goes to the outside. Are the running backs just not seeing the holes the right way? Is there some of that where that brings up even bigger concerns, because, we paid you $8 million. That's what we brought you here to do.
Yeah. So the details on outside zone, right? For a running back, there's 3 reads, right? And the 3 reads, regardless of whichever read you make, it always starts with you pressing the ball, right? When I say press the ball, that ball, first of all, your aiming point, outside leg of the tight end. Some offensive coordinators may say the butt of the tight end.
Yeah.
Some coordinators may say the inside leg of the tight end. Normally, it's the outside leg of the tight end. That's what I see from the Bears watching the All-22. It looks like their aiming point is the outside leg of the tight end, right? That's if they're running it to a tight end. Now, if you're not running it to a tight end, you're running it weak, you're going to press the ball to the imaginary tight end. So right outside the tackle, you're going to run the ball where that tight end would be, right? His outside leg. So when you're running outside zone, 3 reads I talked about, right? It's going to be a press bounce, right? Press bounce means I'm pressing the ball into the heels of the offensive lineman, and I'm staying outside. Why am I staying outside? Because I got that look, like you said, by DJ Moore, or I do got that tight end that's been able to seal that defensive end, right? So that's a press bounce where I'm staying outside. I'm running my track, which is the outside leg of the tight end. Now, a press bang read is where I'm running my track, aiming point outside leg of the tight end, but now there's something that takes me off my track, right? That tight end may get beat by a wide 9 or defensive end that's lined up outside shade of the tight end. He beats that tight end outside. I'm still pressing the ball to my aiming point in the heel of the offensive line, but now my bang read is now I got to stick my foot in the ground to get north and south because that defensive end has taken me off my track, okay?
Right.
Now the one is called a press bend. Press bend is where you press it and you're going to cut it back. But a press bend will end up happening when you press that ball. It ends up being a press bend because something taking me off my track. Now I'm sticking my foot in the ground, going north and south. Now I'm bending it back because now I have flow by them linebackers. I've pressed it, I've cut north and south, and now I'm bending it back. That's a press bend. But a press bend will usually take place 3 to 4 yards down the field because now I've pressed it, I've stuck my foot in the ground, I've turned into a press bang read to get north and south, and now it turns into a press bend because now I'm cutting it back because I have overflow by those linebackers. So those are the 3 reads. It's only 3 reads, right? That's it. It's 3 reads, but they all start with press, right?
Yeah.
Press the ball into the heels of the offensive line. Why? Because I want to get flow by the linebackers, right? The more flow I get by the linebackers and that defensive line, the more lanes that will open up. So, and you have to press it because the more I press, I'm helping my offensive line get on their blocks. They're trying to get on edges. They're trying to run. So my first step, which is aimed at that tight end's outside leg, it mirrors the offensive line. So when you watch out zone, if you're watching the all-22 and you hit pause, once that ball is snapped, the offensive line and the back shoulder they should mirror each other. They should all be going the same way because that offensive line on outside zone is trying to get lateral displacement, which means they're trying to move the defensive line laterally. The more lateral they can move them, the more lanes the running back has to cut at his disposal. So if they get it logged, he's going to press it and bounce it, stay outside. If they do get lateral displacement, but that DN, his job is to keep outside contained, it's going to turn into a press bang read. And then if they really get overflow, it'll go from a press bang to a press bend. So that's the anatomy of an outside zone.
Coach Mack in the building dropping gems on us and basically letting us know that we're not doing that enough, J Mac. That's how it feels.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's you can look at it and watch the all-22 and say, yes, it's the offensive line. And yes, you're right. Sometimes it is. But sometimes also the back not trusting his aiming point, trying to cut it back too soon. And there's reasons why, he wants to cut it back too soon because he's used to not getting outside. Okay, he's predetermined in the cutback. But now you're close there, they're just standing there. So
you guys, we always use that term for quarterbacks, but you almost got running backs seeing ghosts out there.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like every detail, right? You hear the coaches talking about details and cleaning up the details and working on the fundamentals and stuff like that. It's very true because defenses are complex. They know what you're trying to do. Great defensive coordinators in this game, they understand what your bread and butter is. They know you're trying to set up outside zone. Why do you want to set up outside zone? Because we're going to do so many things off of it. We're going to boot off of it. We're going to run outside zone. We're going to go play action and pull up off of outside zone. We're going to go outside zone, fake outside zone and throw an RPO. We can go, fake outside zone and run a jet sweep off of it. There's things that you can do if you have success running your bread and butter play, which is outside zone. So, the details are very important if you want those plays to run. And the thing is, another thing with this team is when you do have a good look of outside zone, when everybody is getting on their guy, we're getting beat physically at the point of attack as well. So that's another thing that you layer on, you throw in the pot of why things aren't working. So, those are all the things that they're working on constantly. And, those guys understand, where their mistakes are. The coordinator's trying to find ways, are we an outside zone team? Are we an inside zone team now?
Yeah.
Are we a power or a gap scheme running team and stuff like that? So it's a lot of things that goes into it.
And I think that's the real tough part. The question that you have heading into this Rams game, right, is you mentioned there, when everything is going perfect, you're just getting beat.
Yeah.
You're just getting beat to the point of attack. You're just getting pushed backwards. I mean, Braxton Jones looked like he was in Michael Jackson Moonwalker. You know what I mean? Like he was literally just sliding backwards. Somebody said on my stream the other day, it's like Braxton playing football and flops. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's how he looks out there.
Right.
How do you address a talent issue? Even though Ryan Poles says it's not a talent issue, I'm seeing a lot of dudes, even when they engage. Coleman Shelton knows where he's supposed to be. He falls down a lot. I don't know what that is, but he knows where he's supposed to be. He knows who he's supposed to engage with, and then he gets picked up and put in Caleb Williams' lap like it's Santa Claus on Christmas.
Yeah, and that's and I think when you hear Ryan Poles say it's not a talent. Okay, do they have talent? Hell yeah, they're some.
They in the NFL. Everyone has talent. Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter whether you're getting your ass kicked every play, you're still one of the best in the world to play that position. So, but when you're getting out physical, as an offensive coordinator, as a unit, as an offensive unit, I have to find ways to help my guy that's having trouble right now physically. So in that game, Braxton Jones getting his ass kicked the entire game, where he's getting walked into the quarterback. Well, how can I help him? How can I help Braxton? Do I slide the protection to Braxton? Do I, slide the protection away, bring it back over there and help him chip? Put two guys, on the end, or, to help Braxton in that case. Like, you got to figure out a formula, because you can't just say, okay, damn, Braxton's getting his butt kicked. All right, like we're going to just, on 3rd and long, let's just hope he gets his block this one time. No, it's a critical situation in the game. How can I help Braxton to make sure that we have the look we want? We got to make sure we get it off. Our left tackle is struggling over there. What do I do to help make sure that we block that defensive end so I can get this play off? So those are things that you have to address as an offensive coordinator, and you got to make those adjustments in game.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing that does scare me about Lou Getsy is we heard coming from Seattle, he's not a big in-game adjustment guy. What you get during that day is what you're going to get out on the field. It seems through 3 weeks that is showing itself to be true, and that if there is a talent deficiency, you just got to ride it out with the deficiency you got until the next week. As we head into this Rams game, when you look at the tape and you look at what the Rams can do, I mean, listen, that comeback was very impressive, which basically means Matt Stafford, everybody thought he was a dead dog, but he still got teeth. You know what I mean? He'll still snap at you with what he's got over there. What does this team need to improve most upon? We've talked about a lot of stuff. Run game, how much they're passing the football. What do you need to see them improve most upon first heading into this Rams game for them to come out of this thing with a win?
Yeah, man, it's it's everything as a whole. I just say the main thing, and I'll go into it. This is with every team, not just the Bears, but it's the self-inflicted mistakes. You know what I mean? The missed assignment. I'll start with the offense first, because we've been talking offense. Missed assignments, getting out physical. It goes back up to the coaches, having the right personnel, the right play calls in critical situations. Winning your one-on-one matchups defensively, right? It's the same thing. Hey, we still got to dominate. We still got to get the takeaways to give our offenses short fields, playing complementary football. You can't wear down in critical moments, despite how long you've been on the field. I know it's tough, but, I think you saw a defense last week that did a lot of good. And then in the clutch, they wore down. They started wearing down. And that's when you've seen Jonathan Taylor start having more success running the ball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a lot of things.
It didn't feel like he dominated the game. It felt like when the defense started to wear down, all of a sudden he was able to turn into Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. I mean, you look at it too. You get a big defensive stop, and I'll say it too. Like special teams, like the Rams did really well on special teams last week. They ran a fake punt. They ran a fake punt where it's a direct snap to the up back, who's their backup running back. I think his name was Ronnie Rivers. They converted on first down on a fake punt, and that led to a score. I think that put them up 14-7 at that point. So you look at special teams, and you look at us, you have an opportunity to get a big stop. You have an opportunity to get the ball back, and then, my guy Daniel Harding, he jumps off sides because of, and the long snapper, he was head bobbing, but at the same time.
That was crazy. Is that legal? That's legal?
I mean, you know what? I was there and I was like, damn, like that's, but hey, It is.
I thought anything to draw the defensive player offside outside of vocals was illegal. I thought that was a false start.
But here's the thing. You know the situation. You know what they're going to try to do. So as a player, right, understanding, having situational awareness and understanding where we're at in this game and what they need to get a first down and what they're going to do. You know what they're going to do? They're going to try to draw you offside. So
yeah,
I got to stay on sides. Like and I'm right in front of the ball at that, which makes it even worse. I'm lined up. The ball is right in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So, things like that we've got to clean up. So we'll see what happens, man. It's despite the injuries that they have, it's a well-coached football team. Coach McVay, it's a part of that Shanahan tree. Similar offenses, similar beliefs in terms of the way they run their team. Similar in terms of the way they run their offense. Similar in terms of the way their team is built. So it's going to be a challenge. Despite who they have out, it's a well-coached football team that's coming in trying to get another win.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it comes down to. And this Bears team got to figure some stuff out quick. Defensively, I think they're straight. Listen, when you don't got to worry about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, it makes your life a little bit easier. But I just it still scares me a little bit offensively, especially with this line up the middle. I'm hoping that cohesion is able to fix that and improve some of those things. The one thing we've talked about is establishing that run, though. What are you seeing right now? How is there a fix for that? Because while some of it is the backs, we mentioned that, a lot of it does start with this offensive line.
Starts up front always.
And if they don't get it going, we may be in trouble on the run game again.
Yeah, and it's about responding, right? They watch film. Coleman, he sees himself getting dump truck. You know what I mean? The guys see themselves having bad games, getting physically outmatched. You know what I mean? If you play in the NFL, it's going to happen. There's been times where we've had bad games running the ball. You know what I mean? And guys were getting their ass kicked, or I didn't get on my block and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you look at what I think it goes back to, right? You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're saying, how can I get better? And the way we did it is, if I missed a block or if I didn't get a block, I used to be pissed because I know I was letting Thomas Jones down. I know I was letting Matt Forte down, Adrian Peterson down, Cedric Benson down, and I was harder on myself than my position coach could be, than Coach Smith could be, because, then Coach Turner, who was our offensive coordinator at the time, that they could ever be on me because I didn't want to let my teammates down. And that was the same mindset that we all had collectively, right? If Olin made the wrong call in pass protection, he was pissed off. He was upset with himself. He would apologize. You know what I mean? We'd be like, no, we got your back. You know what I'm saying? So internally, I think they've got to look at each other as individuals and say, how can I get better as an individual? And, the better they get as individuals, the better they'll be as a team. But it just comes dominating your one-on-one matchup. It just comes back and executing the details of each play. And that goes into the coaching staff too. Shane Waldron's got to get with his offensive staff and say, hey, guys, you know what? I got to get better. Because at the end of the day, it's all on him. It's on, regardless of the players, we can't run the ball. We're inconsistent in the passing game. It all starts with Coach Waldron. It's your offense. Your job is to develop a first-round quarterback to go out there and be productive. It's your job to get this run game going. So he's got to find ways to make this thing go.
No, 100%, 100%. We'll see what ends up happening, J-Mac. We got a lot that we got to still improve upon in a week's time. We'll get to hear from Coach Flus and Caleb Williams today on what they have. My favorite part about these press conferences early in the week is everything's fixed. We got in there. We talked about it. We figured it out. Ready to go, baby. Back to work.
Your questions.
It's just like you fixed nothing. Everything's still a problem.
Bad question. Coach Eberflus, why does the run game suck?
Sometimes we run the football, and it really comes down to a principle of being principled. And when we're principled, I remember going to the principal's office. You'd be in trouble. I love coach talk, bro. It's the funniest thing in the world, bro.
I can't go in there, man. I can't. I have enough. Hey, I'd be so mad. The funny thing is, man, when you were a part of this organization for such a long time, right? And it's, you're still a part of it because it's in you. You're always a Bear and stuff like that. So, for me being there on the sideline, watching the game and traveling with the team, like after the game, it hurts me because I'm like, man, like we lost. And I didn't play, but I'm like, God, we lost. Like my whole week's ruined too. And not just me, like, I'm around, Olin Cruz coaches with me, Rasheed Davis coaches with me. Like, we're coaching high schools, high school kids, and we lost last week too. So we're mad that we lost, and we're mad that the Bears lost. So we're like, everybody's mad. It's just,
Olin got to be losing his mind watching this offensive line.
It's tough, man, because we want them to do good. We want them to succeed. And, there's a lot of great guys in their locker room, a lot of great guys on their team, man, who I've, do traveling with, have gotten close with and stuff like that. So I want to see, so it hurts us too. It hurts us too, man. But at the end of the day, you just want this. I mean, you're a huge fan as well, Pat. Like when the Bears are winning, everything's great here in Chicagoland. So we're all pulling for them, and I hope that they can, they can get it together. Like, because we got a good defense. You've got a lot of good pieces in place, but we got to get it together.
I don't think it was crazy is right, because we've seen this in the league recently a lot. I don't think you're that far off offensively from making things work. We've seen teams that have bad offensive lines still be able to go out there and win football games, especially recently. Joe Burrow's done it a ton. It gets you killed. And I think that's the fear for most Bears fans, is that you're going to get Caleb Williams absolutely killed. 13 sacks in 3 weeks. Like, dog, 13 times 4 is, what is that, 52? And then you got to add 3 more games on top of that. No, you got to add 5 more games on top of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good place for you to be with your young quarterback. I'm really scared we're going to Derek Carr this kid, or David Carr this kid. But I do think that there is a way for the Bears to still win. I still have faith going into these games. I still think it's on Shane Waldron to figure this out offensively, even with the inefficiencies. And I do think it's on Ryan Poles to say, hey, look, I might have overestimated a little bit on this one. Reevaluate and come back to the table and get it right the next time. Because he definitely thought Caleb Williams getting the football out quicker was just going to be the answer for this offensive line. But man.
I agree. It's we'll see, man. I mean, it's you got to get a win at home, man. You got to get a win at home, and no matter how you do it, whether it's an impressive win, an ugly win, a win is a win in this league, and right now the Bears will take it any way they can get it.
Yeah, and from firsthand experience, Matt Stafford will throw some interceptions in this building.
Matt Stafford will come out and light you up too. So.
Hey, he does do that. He will do that. Hey, Matt Stafford, that quarterback that literally he'll have 3 bad quarters. You be like, we got his number. And then he just lock in like Matthew McConaughey, and every move just all right.
And then look at it too. I mean, you look at them, like they've got a good running game. Kyron Williams had a really good game.
That's a dog.
3 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing, 1 receiving, do everything back. So it's going to be a challenge, man. I never look at it like, oh, this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out. But guess what? Behind that starter that's out, there's a guy that's been chomping at the opportunity to go out there and make a name for himself. Because everybody that's in had to make a name for himself. They didn't just come in. They just didn't walk in the league and became Puka Nacua. No, he had to earn a spot and make a name for himself, right, with the opportunity that was presented to him. So, you look at the guys like Tutu Atwell, who's been in this league for a while, but he's going to have, another opportunity to go out there and play well. They got the kid Whittington that's been in there as well. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. They're going to go out there and make plays. And guess what? You got a head coach, an offensive-minded head coach that's going to have a game plan that's going to really challenge this very good Bears defense. So it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a good matchup between, Coach Eberflus and Coach Sean McVay. And I'm just glad it's going to be at Soldier Field.
Well, yeah, what you can't do is underestimate them, especially defensively. What you can't do is absolutely just, well, we got them. They ain't got Puka. They ain't got Cooper Kupp. We're going to be fine out there. And I'm not going to lie. I am excited for the chess match. Like everybody talks about, they got Sean McVay. He's going to figure it out. Don't sleep on how Flus calling his defense, dog. Flus making some calls out here. I know people mad at him head coaching wise, and he is the head coach. I understand all of that. His team is struggling. He's losing again. He's got the record, blah, 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 blah. Hey, this defense humming. Flus ain't no slouch out there calling these plays.
Yeah, and he's been really impressive when you look at it. making in-game adjustments, especially coming back out at halftime. He's made some really good adjustments, coming back out. Once he understands, how the offenses are trying to attack them, he does a good job of taking that away. And then the one thing that I've noticed this year about Flus is, like, in timely moments, he dials up the right pressure. You know what I'm saying? So it's been fun to watch. And let's just hope we can get this offense humming just like this defense. We'll be in good shape.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. J-Mac giving us the great insight that coaching hat is on, and give us all the breakdown on how to run that outside zone scheme the proper way. Let us know if you think the Bears can pull it off. Appreciate y'all tuning in and showing love. For Jason McKie, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.